On today's episode of the High Not to Laugh podcast, I'm going to teach him, I've got 20 weird historical facts.
Yes.
And?
I'm high.
Welcome to the High Not to Laugh podcast. And I didn't have one written down for this, so I'll say I'm your host, Craig, and to my right is the Hitler to my history channel. Think about it. If you ever watched that from the 90s until you were probably 10, the H could have stood for his name because that's what everything was about. And then they got into ancient aliens and pyramids. But prior to that...
I'm Jason. I remembered my line.
I'm Jason. All right, so here's some interesting facts, weird facts I found out about history, okay? You know I'm not a big history buff, but I am into weird knowledge.
Nah, I'm mine.
During World War II, a Great Dane named Juliana got the Blue Cross Medal for extinguishing an incendiary bomb by peeing on it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Who's a good girl?
Jeez.
Alexander the Great may have accidentally been buried alive. Scientologists, no.
Nope.
Scientists believe Alexander suffered from a neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome, something like that.
Is that the one where they're putting ropes in there so you can ring the bell?
Well, that's not a syndrome.
Wait.
This is the type of reason why. But it says they believe when he died, he might have actually just been paralyzed, but fully mentally aware. As
Alexander
he starved
the
to
Great?
death in his, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Why do I know that? Who is that? What did he do that was so great?
He was like a leader in
like a Genghis
old
Khan?
wars. No, not like Genghis Khan.
Less?
He was one of the good guys. He wasn't terrorizing the places he was taking over and killing everybody. He was a good guy. He did it for, kind of like Thanos thought he was a good guy. But
Well, and I bet Genghis Khan just didn't care if you thought he was a good guy or not.
Anyway, there's a group called the Avengers that was Jewish assassins who hunted Nazi war criminals after World War II. They poisoned 2,283 German prisoners of war. They called themselves the Avengers. And this was before the comics. World War II?
Well, it was before World War II that Captain America was happening.
Captain America fought Nazis. That was his deal.
Yeah, but it was going into it.
But
He punched Hitler before the war was over.
But it wasn't the Avengers yet.
Well, I don't know when they started that. I thought it was the early 40s.
Anyway, from 1912 to 1948, the Olympic Games had competitions in fine arts. They had medals for literature, architecture, sculptures, painting, and music. But the art was required to be Olympic themed.
Olympic themed? That's so dumb.
And interesting that they would...
Well, whatever. They can breakdance now.
Not anymore. That was a one-time
deal. Oh, that was a one-time thing. They're taking that out?
They took that out.
Oh, man.
Ketchup was sold in the 1830s as medicine. In 1834, it was sold as a cure for an upset stomach by an Ohio physician named John Cook. It didn't become popular as a condiment until the late 19th century.
The late 19th century?
Yeah, that'd be 1800s.
Oh.
The 20th century. It's the century. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew what you were thinking.
I was
you were what, the 80s or
the
90s?
70s or 80s? They
No.
first started putting on hot dogs?
Yeah, 1870s and 80s, not the 19.
Anyway.
Abraham Lincoln is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. At 6'4", he had only one loss in 300 matches. He earned a reputation for this in New Salem, Illinois, as an elite fighter. 7 matches ago? No?
No to the joke, but that's cool.
Yeah. During the Salem witch trials, the accused witches weren't actually burned at the stake. The majority were jailed and some were hanged, but none of the 2,000 people accused were burned alive.
Where the heck did that come from? Just for, like, Hollywood reasons?
You know how it is when people just want to be a victim.
I don't know.
We were burned alive for our beliefs. It's like, first of all, none of them were that. And, like, they weren't actual witches is the point. You know, so people that claim to follow, like, Wicca are like, oh, we were persecuted, except they weren't you. So, no.
Right, they weren't actually witches. They were just...
Anyway, Andrew Jackson had a pet parrot. He taught his parrot, Polly, to curse like a sailor. There's even a legend that the parrot had to be removed from his funeral because of the profanity.
Whose?
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, the president.
The guy on the 20. No, that's Hamilton.
He's not a president.
Jackson was 10? I don't know. No. 20? Okay, yeah. I was right the first time.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the ancient Olympics, athletes performed naked to achieve closeness to the gods and help detox their skin through sweating. In fact, the word gymnastics come from the ancient Greek words gymnasia, which is athletic training and exercise, and gymnos, which means naked.
Naked exercise?
No, it just means naked.
No. Like those.
Gymnos means naked.
Whatever.
The word gymnastics means both. Means naked exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1386, a pig was executed in France. In the Middle Ages, the pig attacked a child who went on to die from their wounds. The pig was arrested, kept in prison, and sent to court where it stood trial for murder, found guilty, and they hung it. I would have sandwiched it.
All that bacon? How big was this pig?
It doesn't really say. During the Great Depression, people made clothes out of food sacks. People used flour bags, potato sacks, and anything made of burlap. Because of this, food distributors started making their sacks more colorful to help people remain a little bit fashionable.
That is so weird.
But weirdly sweet of the companies.
Like, it feels sweet, but at the same time, like, it doesn't make a difference. It's called the Great Depression.
Well, listen. The shortest war in history lasted 38 minutes. It was between Britain and Zanzibar, and it's known as the Anglo-Zanzibar War. This war occurred August 27th, 1896, and it was over the ascension of the next Sultan of Zanzibar and resulted in a British victory. No, not Britain, Britain. Why did that?
Corrected it again.
Well, corrected it to not be Britain, which is actually a word. Anyway. In ancient Greece, they believed redheads became vampires when they died. This was partly because redheaded people had pale skin and were sensitive to sunlight, unlike the Mediterranean Greeks who have olive skin and darker features.
I guess that makes sense.
Ferrets, dogs, and monkeys are the most popular pets in the Roman Empire, not cats. Ancient Romans used ferrets to hunt mice and rats. They used dogs as guards and monkeys as entertainment.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And, I mean, truly, have you ever thought about the fact, like, how often do you sit and think about the Roman Empire?
I don't.
Right?
What
was that?
I don't know what that was.
Like, why did that happen?
When people were talking about it, I was like, that's not a thing, is it? Tablecloths were originally designed to be used as a giant community napkin. When they were first invented, guests were supposed to wipe their hands and faces on the tablecloth after a messy dinner party.
You know how much better it would be if I didn't have to, like, bring napkins everywhere or have napkins everywhere? Like, you throw those away.
But it seems dirtier to do it that way. That's
sure, but
probably
you take it off after one use, wash it.
Or you get, like, disposable ones.
Disposable
chuck
ones.
It away. Before alarm clocks were invented, and way before smartphone alarms, people were called knocker-uppers would knock on your windows and wake you up in time for work. Up until the 1970s, knocker-uppers had a long stick and soft hammers, rattles, and even pea shooters to get to your window.
They would knock you up
Yeah. Well, knock to wake you. So they would knock you up, yes. In 1998, 1,200 bones from around 10 human bodies were found in the basement of Ben Franklin's house.
Oh.
They think that the bodies were used in the study of human anatomy, not like some gruesome murder.
I would hope.
Well, let's see. The tallest married couple ever recorded was Anna Haining Swan, who was 7'11", and Martin Van Buren Bates, who was 7'9". When she gave birth to their child, the baby was 22 pounds.
Oh, well, that's terrifying.
Your wife is lucky. She doesn't have a 22-pounder coming.
No.
In 1945, a balloon bomb launched by Japan landed in Oregon, falling on a woman and 5 children who died when it exploded. These were the only World War II casualties on U.S. soil.
Oh, wow.
And Johnny Appleseed was a real person named John Chapman. His hometown was Leominster, Massachusetts. He also had a street named after him, though the city planners decided to make it more poetic and use his mythical name. So it's Johnny Appleseed Lane.
Okay.
So now, do you have any thoughts about
Johnny
any of these
Appleseed?
specs? Yeah.
I also recognize that name and don't know why.
The story is he crossed the country planting apple seeds to get apple trees to grow across this great land. Like, they say that we have apples because of him. And he actually did do some of that.
So, like, without Johnny Appleseed, gravity wouldn't exist?
Well, considering apples did exist in Europe where that happened.
Oh.
Newton wasn't in the United States, I don't believe. Sorry. Any other ones that you have any comments about before we...
Do you think I remember?
That's a good point. This is the problem with teaching him things while he's stoned. Good thing it's not the show we used to do. I used to teach him things, and then the next week, I would quiz him on it. He never did well. He would puff, fail a lot. See, get it? Puff, pass, puff, fail. See how clever I was? Anywho, as always, smoking weed doesn't make you cool, but if you're cool, you probably smoke weed.